All right, well, good afternoon and welcome to the UCEA Executive Committee interview webinar. This is Alonzo Gilzine, Graduate Research Assistant and Doctoral Student at UCEA headquarters at Michigan State University. Today, I'm here to interview Dr. Lisa Bass as a part of her candidacy for the UCEA Executive Committee. Today, listeners will be hearing from Dr. Bass, Associate Professor of Educational Leadership at Carolina State University. Her research interests include educational leadership, equity and diversity, and educational reform. Welcome, Dr. Bass.
Thank you, Alonzo.
Well, let's begin with the first question. Please tell us about your background and your scholarship as it relates to leadership, preparation, and practice.
Okay, sure. I've been a part of UCA since I was a graduate student, much like yourself, and that was way back in 2005. The longer I've been associated with UCA, the more I've come to respect the vision and mission of the organization, and how I reflect more even on how it's increasingly important, especially in the times that we live in. Since I've been a member, I've learned that UCEA is committed to developing strong leaders for 21st century schools, to social justice leadership, and to equity. But most importantly, UCEA is committed to seeing the achievement gap for disadvantaged students closed. All of these goals are central to my personal mission and purpose. And I believe it's not a coincidence that my personal values are so closely aligned to those of UCEA, because I feel as though I've literally grown up as a scholar in the organization. This organization has been my staple conference throughout my career. All of the mentors and colleagues central to my development have come from my affiliation with UCEA. And I feel as though UCEA has both poured into my life and given life to my career. My scholarship is rooted in ethics, social justice, and equity. I have been able to find a home for my work in UCEA, as well as support for developing it. For example, the Black Masculine Caring Framework I developed was developed as I delivered the paper at a UCEA session, and then Kala Murtada encouraged me to perfect the concept for a book. I worked toward that goal as well as a journal article publication, which ended up being EAQ. My relationship with UCEA helped push this work. I was a Jackson Scholar and have actively participated in the convention, like I said, since 2005. I've also been the interview editor for UCEA Review, a Jackson Scholar mentor, as well as serving as the current Associate Director for Jackson Scholars. Even before being named the co-director for Jackson Scholars, I was the liaison for Jackson Scholars at NC State and would nominate scholars and help them navigate and make the most of their time as a scholar. This includes answering their questions, helping them to navigate the UCEA and AERA conferences, and introducing them to key people who would help them with their careers as well. I have also recruited new members from my own faculty to serve as mentors for Jackson Scholars. As the co-director, I have worked primarily with the Jackson Scholars programming and also with Jackson Scholar alum. To this end, I organized and facilitated a writing retreat for scholars and their mentors last summer, and also invited them to participate with the Information Age publishing opportunity that we collaborated with. We also recently developed a survey to determine the needs of scholars and are working to meet their needs with the aids of mentors.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for a very thoughtful and comprehensive answer. And I feel like you've touched on a lot of this through your previous answer, but I guess I'll ask, you served for several years as a plenary session representative. Tell us about your engagement in UCA's government, or in this instance, can you expand on that a bit?
Yes, I have served in several leadership positions while at UCEA, including being a plenum representative, both at the University of Oklahoma and North Carolina State University, where I currently work. While on plenum, I served as a liaison between my universities and the UCEA organization. I have participated in conference plenum, and numerous task forces and information sessions. I have completed reports and represented my university's perspectives at the plenum. I have also reported back UCEA news and events to my faculty.
Thank you very much for that answer. And in what other ways have you been engaged in UCEA?
Well, as I have mentioned, I am a longtime conference attendee and have submitted my work to both conferences and the UCEA journals. I have also nominated 2 principals for the UCEA Exemplary Principal Award. I was a regular participant of the Duquesne Educational Leadership Symposium sponsored by UCEA for the Center for Educational Leadership and Social Justice. And additionally, NC State received the UCEA Exemplary Educational Leadership Program Award, and I participated in this by supporting the application process and by welcoming UCEA when they visited my campus to learn about best practices from our program. This included an extensive meeting as well as facilitating the involvement of UCEA representatives in our candidate assessment day.
Thank you very much for that answer. And you've touched on this next question a little bit in your previous discussion, but discuss with us how your scholarship, research projects, teaching, and/or service that can inform the work of UCEA, particularly the work of the executive committee.
Sure. My research agenda is grounded in ethics, and to this end, I have co-edited the UCEA PCEL Standard 2 Ethics textbook with Michelle Young and Bill Frick, titled Developing Ethical Principles for School Leadership. As I mentioned, I've also grounded the theoretical framework Black Masculine Caring and co-edited a book and an article with this title or subject in the UCEA Journal and EAQ. I have also won Article of the Year for JCEL, and also I'm working with Information Age Publishing to produce a Jackson Scholars Yearbook, which allows Jackson Scholars to publish their work. And I feel that I can use all of this to help the work of the executive committee by continuing, to make opportunities for Jackson Scholars and to use this to develop more ideas and goals toward the ends of ethics and leadership.
Thank you so much for that. So for our last question, just want to ask, can you share the reasons why you've chosen to run for the executive committee and your vision for the future of UCEA?
Sure. As you can probably gather, UCEA has been a pillar of my career and the organization that has most fed my academic spirit. I further feel that UCEA has given so much to me over the years that I would like this opportunity to give back. Throughout my time in UCEA, I have grown as a scholar and as a person and believe that I have what it takes and that it could be used to further the mission of the organization. As I said earlier, my program was named Exemplary Program for UCEA for many reasons, and I believe that I can use what I've learned from our program to speak to the restructuring that is underway in UCEA. I also believe that equity and equality of opportunity, which are central to UCEA's missions, can be furthered through my work and my continued involvement in UCEA leadership, and also to further develop programs and opportunities for scholars who need them, and how we can lead the field in filtering these opportunities to students that we care about and serve. I am passionate about closing the achievement gap and know that I can contribute productively to this conversation and the resulting work. My perspective and goals are in alignment with those of the organization, and UCEA clearly has my heart and dedication, regardless of the outcome of this election. However, and I know that I can use my skill sets toward addressing the goals of UCEA. Becoming a member of the UCEA Executive Committee has long been a goal of mine, and I was both humbled and excited to be nominated this year. I would be honored to serve the organization that has served me so well throughout my career and supported my growth and development as a graduate student, a junior professor, and now as an associate professor. I feel like I've literally grown up in UCEA. I could vividly remember my first few years as a graduate student. to all of the involvement of my UCEA initiatives, activities, and committees. I have thoroughly enjoyed my years in UCEA and look forward to many more years. And just in closing, I just believe that the vision that I would envision for UCA would continue to be focused on equity, continue to be focused on the goal toward equality, and also towards continuing to be the premier and #1 organization in educational leadership and policy studies.
Thank you so very much for that. So this brings us to the end of our interview. I want to thank you for your time and thoughtful responses, Dr. Bass. This interview will be made available to UCEA institutions and the plenum representatives prior to UCEA's annual conference. Thank you and goodbye.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.